You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 23 Personnel Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
Have you ever played Paper Mario?
Nope. No idea what that is.
It's pretty good. It's pretty.
Oh, you're playing the Switch while you're waiting for the intros. Good.
Yeah.
That's fine. I was
Cool,
catching
I'll
up
put
on
it down
Discord.
Yeah. I'll put it down now. We're good.
What's up, man?
Man, it feels good to have a win today, even though I didn't get to watch the game. But it's good
That's
to have a
right.
win against a tree.
The tree, the cardinal.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech baseball winners today against Stanford. Number 8 Stanford on the road there do split the 2-game midweek series. But it felt good to beat up on them like you did today, 11-2. We'll get into that when we do baseball. But you had hoped for a better result this weekend. You still won the series, but you lost the first game against North Dakota State, 8-1. But then you came back. Interestingly enough, all the winners of the series of the games scored 8 runs. It's 8-5, 8-3 on Saturday in the doubleheader games. And then you hit the road Sunday to play Monday. Yesterday, Stanford, you lost that game 4-6, and then won today 11-2. We'll get more into those games in a little bit, and then look ahead to this weekend on the road in Norman, and then next week, midweek versus Grand Canyon. We got all kinds of, like I said, baseball. Going to give you some updates on the national stats, team stats, and individuals. Look at some of the troubling stats or the things I found that I've got concerns with, and they're not anything new. We've talked about all these things before, but just something to keep an eye on, so we can just kind of, track how things are going.
They're going great.
We've got some basketball staff news to go over. Got a couple of assistant coaches that have been named, a strength and conditioning coach. And then some updates on potential other staff members, updates on the transfer portal for both guys that Texas Tech had targeted that we talked about last week, or guys that are currently or formerly on the Texas Tech's roster. Look at the spring football game, which is next weekend. Michael, have you spent any time reading about spring football practice?
No, because I'm gonna go to the spring game and just soak it all in. I'll just be a wealth of knowledge at that point. I'll be like,
No
number
context.
72. He's the real deal.
No context coming in and be like, man, I like this.
Yeah, I got this. I can always determine it's good that, the receivers were unable to get open. And it's also good that the receivers were able to get open. Both of those things are true.
Mm-hmm.
Always good for a scrimmage.
Whew, got the chills. I don't know what that was about. Probably the Rangers losing in extras to the Royals. That sucks.
Now you were just thinking about how exciting it will be to have some football back. I am legit excited about going to the spring game though. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I got to make sure that those that makes it onto our plans for that weekend, so we can, make the necessary adjustments to get in the building. Something else that's been cropping up a little bit that I want to ask you about, Michael, when we get there, but Big 12 expansion.
I'm ready.
So we'll talk about that. And then I'll obviously wrap up with everybody's favorite segment, Behind the Dish. I mean, what do we learn? Going Yard has an update too. Maybe I'm going to substitute that for Behind the Dish because I don't have anything to update from Behind the Dish. I haven't had any games. I had 2 games on Thursday, non nondescript, but we'll do going yard updates. I've got something there.
Okay.
So before we jump fully into baseball, y'all know that we are part of the exciting Stake in the Plains content network. It's exciting because we're just a bunch of great people. Rob,
Absolutely, we are.
Kyle, Ryan, Keith, David, Shelby, Sibby,
And then us.
well, yeah, us. Yeah. If you want to follow us on Twitter, if you're not already, at 23personnel, you can follow me, Spencer, at Puntsuck, Michael, at Michael_LBK, at Staking the Plains. Check out everything, all the work going on there. And then our compatriots across the network, Dinger Derby, Red Raider Dugout for Keith Patrick and David Collier, Seeing Scarlet for Shelby and Sibby, and obviously the Gambling Gauchos for Rob, Kyle, and Ryan.
And for the Gauchos, be sure to subscribe to the Dave Campbell's Texas Football podcast feed, where the Gauchos post one episode there every week.
Yeah,
exclusively on that feed.
The Gauchos record twice a week. One goes to their feed, one goes to Dave Campbell. So if you want to catch them twice a week, subscribe in a couple of different spots. Let's jump into baseball, Michael. What do you say?
Yay!
Left field, well struck. Desloney picks it up on a bounce. He's racing for second. Throw! Out at second!
Young, right field, looking for a second home run, and he's got it into his own bullpen.
Reps and some time because all the tools are there.
Wow, this one launched deep left off the bat of Warren and into the bleachers. There he goes. Just driven deep to right, first down to the wall, off the top of the fence. Here comes the big fella. Cameron Warren's gonna motor home from first. Throw to third is late. And the Red Raiders have reclaimed. Popped up. Trevor Boone back. It's more than a pop-up. It's a big fly. Tech takes the lead. Levick and leaving. Texas Tech can start packing for Omaha.
All right, as is to be expected, every time I listen to one of these things, I always think about something. It started with the first highlight there in Omaha, where Nesloney throws out Jonathan in India, trying to stretch a single into a double, where you get Texas Tech's first College World Series victory. John Shambi was on that call, but you may know him now as Boog Shambi. So I was interested, like, when did he start going by Boog Shambi? Because that's
Maybe he
nicknames are
always
weird.
had, but he was hesitant to use it professionally.
Yeah, I don't know.
Out at second. Sorry.
I've liked him, and
I've heard you talk about him.
He's done some Texas Tech basketball games a while ago. He's now on the play-by-play for the Cubs, and then does Sunday Night Baseball, the radio call.
Isn't he the guy that's pretty young?
No, that's Joe Davis.
Okay.
John Shambi is the redheaded guy.
Yeah, okay. John Shambi's 52.
Yeah. Whereas Joe Davis is my age. He's not your age. He's
Okay.
my age.
How dare
He's
you?
younger than you are. No, I'm just
Why
saying
did
he's
you
younger
have
than
to-
you are.
Why did you just had to throw that out there? He's not your age. He's my age.
Well, he fits between our ages.
You old fart.
You old so and so. Well, I'm always so impressed with Joe Davis because he's so good, but also like at 33 is the play-by-play TV announcer for the largest media market out there, and for probably the biggest team on the West Coast, the Dodgers. So, anywho's.
That's pretty good.
And then obviously during the fall, does a lot of Fox football games on Saturday. And he's fantastic.
Joe Davis was formerly the voice of the Monterey Biscuits.
fantastic.
It is great. Oh man, I love minor league teams. From 2010 to 2012, he called college football, basketball, and baseball for Comcast.
Okay, so think
Host-
about 2010. So that's 13 years ago. He would have been like 21
Yeah. Yeah.
calling minor league baseball games.
That was right. He was fresh out of, oh God. This is ironic that this is like a Bellois College, Beloit, or am I overthinking it?
Beloit.
Beloit's what I was thinking, but I'm already getting dinged about Berea, so I figured I'd go Bellois.
Berea. It's fantastic.
Bellois College in 2010 with a degree in communications and journalism.
Hey, so speaking about baseball,
Yeah,
Texas
should we
Tech
talk about some of it?
Raiders.
Sorry.
After the victory tonight, have moved to 23-11, 4-5 in conference play. They are in 7th place, but the Big 12 standings are pretty stacked. Texas is just like you're 2 games behind Texas, who's in first place. You think you're in 7th, so there's 2 games that separate 1st and 7th,
Yeah.
which is pretty wild. And it just goes back like, man, had you not lost all 3 of those in Austin, but anywho's, we've talked about the schedule before. I'm still pretty bullish on the opportunity here at the end, but you missed out on midweek last week. ACU was supposed to be here on Tuesday. The game got postponed because of the stupid weather, big storm that was blowing in. Worst wind of the year, supposedly. And it
So
would have
far.
been, yeah, it would have been blowing straight out. So it would have been like a 30-29 with 40 combined home runs, something like that. But also, it would have been miserable to play in that. So they're like, we're gonna reschedule and postpone this. It will be played on May 9th.
Yes.
I did a little disservice to Abilene Christian and kind of blew them off, but like they're actually a pretty
Good.
decent squad.
Oh.
They're 26th in the RPI, and they also lead the country in fielding percentage, which is where Texas Tech is struggling. They've only committed 15 errors on the year. And we talked about when Oklahoma State came to town, they had only committed 9 on the season up until that point.
So
But that was like 20 games ago, and ACU's only committed 15 so far.
we had the chance to host the team that leads the country in fielding percentage on a day where they probably wouldn't be able to throw the ball to home plate.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We would have
Damn it.
taken a shot at their fielding percentage there.
Yeah, the fielding percentage would have gone down the tube.
You would hope. But then you did have a 3-game series. You hosted North Dakota State. It was modified again because of weather, but not because of the weather in Lubbock, but them trying to get out of North Dakota. Instead of playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you played Friday, Saturday, Saturday. You did win the series. You didn't sweep. You lost game 1 8-1, and then won the final 2 8-5, 8-3. We'll get into that in just a little bit. You split the midweek series yesterday and today versus Stanford. 4-6 on Monday, and then the big win today, 11-2. But I wanted to get to some stats updates before we dive into the stats.
Divin.
Before we dive into the games. Before we've divin.
Yeah.
We'll start with national stats for the team.
The look you just gave me. It's like the screen froze as you did it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It was pretty good. I should have taken a screenshot.
Should have.
So yeah, let's divin. Let's divin in. Vin.
So you were 3rd in the country in double plays turned. You're at 34. You're obviously first in the Big 12.
Turned at least one today.
So you're 30. You've got 35 on the season. 6th in runs scored. First in the Big 12. You're first in sacrifice flies again in the country. So obviously you're first in the Big 12. And you've got a pretty comfortable lead. I don't know if you got any more today. These are accurate as of yesterday, the 10th. They were not updated, but you had a 4 fly lead over second place. You are 5th in the country in walks, 2nd in the Big 12, 12th in batting average. You're 1st in the Big 12, 4th in the country in hits, 1st in the Big 12 there, 12th in on-base percentage, 1st in the Big 12 there. And as much as you've seen it kind of like when it crops its head up, you're like, man, we strike out a lot. You're actually the third. You strike out the third. You've struck out the third fewest amount of times in the Big 12.
Stricken
out 3. 7 more struck out more than you have. The biggest statistical anomaly here is your fielding percentage. You are 244th in the country. That says 92nd lowest. I meant to say second lowest. There's only one other Power 5, Power 4 school that has a worse fielding percentage than you.
Is it Baylor?
No, you're last in the conference. Ugh. And I don't remember who the team is, so I'm not asking you to guess, but that's not good, Tony. And like we've said this for a couple weeks now, being 34 games into the season, like this is just who you are, right? Like this is not going to change. You're not going to obviously all of a sudden skyrocket up and like not commit any errors. There have been games you played really clean baseball, and there have been games where you've committed 5 errors. You did it against TCU, and you were able to win in a game where you committed 5 errors. But that's not typically how that's going to roll out for you.
Does it strike you as strange to be this far down? Stricken? Dovin? Duggan? Does it strike you to be strange? You're third in double plays, but also 244th in fielding percentage. Is this solely because Tracer Lopez is on the team? Would it be worse? Would you be like 300th in fielding percentage if he did not exist?
I don't know why I hadn't put that together, but it's interesting because at least anecdotally, I remember like and some of the things that we've seen in the chat from guys like Keith that follow the team a whole lot more closely than even I do. Second base has been a defensive hole for you. Like you've had some struggles there, but obviously second base is going to play a huge role in a vast majority of the double plays you turn, because like typically you're going to see a 4-6-3 or 6-4-3 where it's shortstop at second, then back to first, or in some kind of order up the middle and then over to first. Before you start getting into like third base, second base, first base type of plays, or any kind of weirdness where it's coming in from the outfield. But yeah, it's interesting that you're so low in fielding percentage, but you're turning so many double plays still.
Yeah, that seems crazy to me. Just kind of an outsider looking in. Like those two stats are really skewed in opposite directions.
Individually,
it's like having the worst field goal percentage in the country, but leading the country in 3-point percentage. It's like something is off. I don't know if that's a good. I don't know. I came up with that on the fly, but like maybe you're shooting 60% from 3, but then 20% from everywhere else, and so then your field goal percentage is like 30. Like you just can't hit the side of a barn unless it's beyond the arc.
When you brought up the field goal, like I went to football. I was like, so you've got like a great red zone percentage, but you miss all your field goals.
Oh yeah, well okay. There's that, or what would it be? You have a ton of first downs, but no points. I think we've been there.
You're good at moving the ball between the 20s, and then
ton of first downs, but nothing to show for it.
No points.
No points.
Individually, Nolan Hester is 4th in the country in walks, which is exactly where you want your leadoff man to be. You want to be the top on base percentage. He's 12th in the country in on base percentage, but 4th in the country in walks. Kevin Bazell is 2nd in the country in doubles with 16. I think first place has 19, so he's not that far off. No, sorry. That was, so first place has 17. Gage Harrelson has 13, but he's tied for 26. So there's a lot of guys up there. So even though he's at 26, he's only 4 behind the nation's leader. Gavin Cash is 6th in the country in hits, 13th in home runs, and 5th in RBIs.
Ribbies.
Sorry, there's so many different ways we can string along this joke here. This bit. Austin Green is 2nd in sacrifice flies, and interesting enough, he hasn't played in the past few games, so that's standing, even though he hasn't been in the lineup for a little bit. Yeah, so you're 1st in the country in sacrifice flies. A lot of that has to do with Austin Green, who's 2nd in the country right now. And then the troubling stats, and we've already talked about the fielding percentage. But I went back. We talked about this a little bit last week. We talked about who scores first. So he played 35 games now. The opponents have scored first in 19 of those games. Now, some of that has to do with like your home schedule and your away schedule. So of your 35 games now, 25 have been home games. So obviously your opponent's going to have the first opportunity to score first in 2/3 of these games. So however you want to weigh that out. But Texas Tech has played from behind in 19 of their 35 games. And a lot of these teams are scoring first inning too. Like there were very few of these 19 games where the first runs were scored in the 3rd or 4th inning.
Yeah, TCU, that the game I went to, scored first batter.
Yeah. And you got down 8 runs in the second by the end of the second? I think it was 8-0.
I don't think it was. No, I don't think it was that bad in game 2.
I don't think it was 1 when it was when you end up winning 20-16.
Yeah.
Of those 19 that Texas Tech has played behind, they've come back to win 9 of them, so about half. You're 9-10 in those games. Your home and away splits, you're 21-4 at home, but you're 2-7 away from Dan Law Field, including a win tonight. You were 1-7 before tonight. The other win came against Michigan in Arlington.
Oh, so it wasn't even a true.
No, you're 1-5 on the road and 1-2 at a neutral site. So you got three games on the road this weekend in Norman. So hopefully that's going to change a little bit and start swinging a little bit better into your favor. Stolen bases.
You found some stolen base stuff. Okay, I'm excited about this. All right.
It's not good.
I didn't think it was because we briefly talked about it last week, and I don't know enough, and I'm not smart enough. Oh, sorry, we're filming this, aren't we? My hairy knee is in the. Hang on, let me move.
Well, you're fine. I don't
That
know
just
if
felt
anybody's
awkward.
gonna throw up a flag.
Filming this.
How
What
old
am
are you,
I?
man? Yeah, you were the one that was getting on to me for talking about how you were
Old
being
enough.
and then you said,
Well, you
film,
see here, we're filming here. See, we're
Hey,
gonna have it on
that
the
remind me real
television.
quick.
See, yeah. What?
I watched a TikTok video where these parents.
Oh,
they
what?
were-
What's that? Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, Hank. Parents are probably Gen Xers because they look like they had high school age kids. So other like young Gen Xers are very old millennials. They had a rotary phone, and they gave their 2 kids, their 2 sons, like, you've got 5 minutes to figure out how to make a phone call with this. They failed.
It just would be
Part
so
of it-
foreign.
So one, it took them several minutes to realize you need to pick up the handset for an actual. So like they were turning the rotary incorrectly for a while.
They don't even know what a dial tone is, do they?
No. So they started with like they figured out how to dial a 0 first, like you do that and go all the way around. Like, okay, so that's a 0. And then what they did is they put their finger in a 0, and then for like 9 or like whatever 5, they would take their finger from the 0 over to the 5 and then let go. They're like, no, or like 7
gotta-
in the 0, they'd roll it over to the 7. It's like, no, you actually don't dial like a 2 just then. It was hilarious. They, like I said,
They were doing
failed.
subtraction. They were ahead.
They
of
were on the
game.
wrong end of the rotary on that one. Anyways, stolen bases. again, I'm not in the tactical tactician here. Like, I don't know if it's on the pitchers, I don't know if it's on the catchers. Don't know if it's just like teams aren't scared or intimidated by this at all or whatever. Opponents have attempted 68 stolen bases against Texas Tech and have been successful 53 times. Now, that success rate, I don't know where that ranks, if that's like a good success rate, but like comparatively to what you've done is where I'm concerned. Texas Tech has attempted 28 stolen bases. Your opponents have attempted 40 stolen bases than you have. You're 23 of 68. Your opponents are 53 of 68. So they're going. And you said you were there with the TCU game. A lot of it were double steals.
Yeah,
all that
Rob,
kind of stuff.
Rob pointed that out, and he's right. Yeah.
And then there were times I believe it was a TCU game where like, they were barely the runners were barely being held on. Like they would basically get like a walking start, and they just would never stop. They would just walk out, then take off. Like, you can stop that by looking at them. You can stop that by throwing at them. And hold on, not throwing at them at the batter, because that was an issue that weekend with Austin Davis. I'm not.
Not that type of throw at him.
What I mean, like as a pick.
Throw to the first baseman.
Yeah.
Throw to the
or second wherever they're
baseman.
standing.
Yeah.
So with your speed, I would have thought you would have attempted more stolen bases. To be fair, you're higher than normal slugging percentage, meaning you're getting more extra bases, meaning you have fewer opportunities to steal. That plays a part in this. Obviously, like if you're hitting a double, you're not stealing second, because obviously second base is going to be the most frequently stolen base, because it's the furthest throw from the catcher. But still, like Gage Harrelson, the fastest man in your lineup, has stolen the most or attempted the most. Yeah, well, both. He's 5 of 7 on the season. Nobody else has more than 2 attempts.
But that's just never been Tadlock's deal. It seems like he's just not.
But why not?
I wonder that too. I don't know enough to argue it, but he's had some really fast guys, and a handful of times he would get some of the super fast guys to try to get around the bases, but even then, it just didn't seem very consistent.
So there's that. On the pitching side, you've given up the second most walks in the Big 12, and you've given up the most home runs.
So there's some, like you said, some issues.
You were third in the conference in home runs hitting. You and Kansas State are actually pretty close, and then I think you're like 45 and 48. But then Oklahoma State, who's first, has 61. Nationally, Florida is like on a whole different level. They don't lead the country. They're up there. I think they've got like 78 home runs. South Carolina, I think, leads the country in home runs. Campbell is up there in home runs. Florida Gulf Coast is up there in home runs.
Campbell?
Unless I'm misremembering. Hold on. That actually doesn't sound right anymore. But
like Campbell.
The Camels?
The Campbell Camels.
Hold on. Just because. Okay, home runs. No, I need a team. Come on, scroll. There we go. The Florida. So yeah, South Carolina's first at 76. Florida Gulf Coast at 75. Florida at 73. Campbell's fourth at 69. Nice. Georgia State fifth with 63. Miami, Old Dominion, Oklahoma State is eighth. Troy, Tennessee, LSU. Not surprised by LSU and Tennessee being up there because they're just. LSU is like the definition. Like they bought their roster. Tommy Tanks. I don't remember him, the transfer. Like
Yes,
leading the country in average, which is stupid. It's like, I think, hold on, it's like 500, which is ridiculous because he's an everyday starter. No, Dylan Cruz, but with LSU. 31 games, 102 at bats, 510 batting average. Scroll down a little bit. You've got a guy you've seen at New Mexico, Dylan Ditzenberger. He's 7th. J.J. Weatherholt at West Virginia, who you'll see here in a little bit. He is 8th. Got to scroll down quite a bit till you get to Gavin Cash, who is your team leader, but he's 44th. And he just dipped under 400, 397. But yeah, the nation's leader in average is an everyday starter, 5'10". Bats 5'10".
Oh, I thought that's how tall he was. I was like, well seems
No,
nice.
I don't know how tall he is. He may be 5'10".
Batting 5'10"? That's ridiculous. That's why my brain didn't register it. I was like, why are you telling me his height right now?
Oh, he's a freshman. That's fantastic.
Good
he also
Lord.
has 18 home runs.
Okay. That's
He
not
is
bad.
he's 6'1", so he's 5'11". All right. Anyways, do you want to go through the North Dakota State games? Honestly, I had family in town for Easter. I didn't watch any of these games.
No,
I'd hoped you would the series, but
yeah, really the only thing I wanted to talk about was you had mentioned speedster Gage Harrelson earlier, and Barrelson, more like it. I just hate that he got robbed his inside the park home run because of
an error.
lame baseball rules.
Okay, but to be fair to that though, that right fielder had his hand on that
he
ball,
whiffed.
dropped it 3 times.
Yeah.
Like he pulled up like his hand out of the glove twice without the ball, and then like dropped it too. It was like, dude, he was having a day.
Yes. Much like I was going to make a biblical comparison about being denied 3 times, but I think I'll stop there. But anyway, it was just like, yeah, it was nothing. He just kept dropping it. So, and Harrelson was just, excuse me, Barrelson was flying around the bag. Around the bag. So when you can't decide if you're going to say bag or bases, and you just say bag.
He's getting both. Bags.
So that was probably my biggest takeaway. Pitching was what it was, especially on Friday. But
Pitching was what it was. Yeah, that's
yeah. I mean, and Tech, even the one I listened to and watched the most was the first game on Saturday, and I forgot what it ended up being, but Tech let them back in basically. I remember listening, thinking, "Oh, well, this is kind of over." It was like 7-1 or 8-1 or something, and then, oops. Then they score 4 more in the 7th and 8th, and all of a sudden it's 8-5, and I think they loaded up the bases and brought some guys out of the bullpen, and I was like, this is getting really kind of scary now. So they, I really don't know what happened on Game 3. We were busy. We did our Easter service that evening. So, but shout out to Red Raider Dugout, because don't tell anybody. I subscribed to his Twitter feed so that my watch would give me scoring updates during church.
same.
It's fine. I just needed to know the updates. That's all. But so I don't know what was really happening. He was saying what was happening, but I wasn't going to, chance looking at my watch that long. I was just going to look at the top like, okay, all right. Tech's still up.
He is one
We're
of the only accounts I've got notifications turned on for.
It's fantastic. If you don't have,
Especially
we're
during the
plugging
season.
STP Nation again.
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
if you don't have Red Raider Dugout on your Twitter feed, you need him on there. And then especially if you're away from a radio or the ability to stream it, either audio or video, just subscribe to his Twitter feed, man. Whether he's at the game or not, he gives a lot of great updates, a lot of great, not just, oh, here's the score. It's like, here's the score and here's how it happened. And, here's a pitching change coming. And, yeah, it's enough updates where it's not like your phone's blowing up, but you pretty much get 1 or 2 updates an inning. I mean, at least 2 updates an inning.
And then if
Sometimes
there's
3.
a pitching change, like if there's
Yeah.
a timeout, then he'll give an update then. But he's got like a running tweet that he writes as the inning is ongoing, and then at the end or at the timeout, whatever, he'll send it. So you get a detailed half inning review, assuming you're not batting around them, twice. Where he's just
Yeah,
running
and the
out of
character
characters.
limits. Yeah, this is the first time I was like, oh yeah, character limits. This is good.
Anyways.
I'm glad that there's more characters now. This is why there are more characters, so that people could summarize events I'm unable to watch or listen to. It's really helpful.
Like a baseball game. Yeah, so you just really quickly, Friday, you started off the scoring in the second inning with a home run, your solo home run, and that's it. You didn't score again the rest of the night. They got up to 4-1 lead at the top of the 5th, and then nobody scored until North Dakota State broke it open in the top of the 9th for 4 more. So you had a 4-1 game going into the 9th. So you're like, well, that's not bad. Like we're still within striking distance of 4 in the top of the 9th. Brennan Girton takes his first loss of the season. He's at 2-1 now. He got the start. North Dakota State only used 2 pitchers. Their starter, Cade Freeney, went 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 2 walks and 5 strikeouts. Then their reliever, who got the save, Skylar Reedinger, went the last 3 innings, 1 hit, which is fantastic for him. Obviously no runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Whereas your staff, you combined 6 pitchers on the day: Brennan Girton, Tabor Fast, Ethan Coombs, Derek Bridges. We didn't talk about him, but he's back in the rotation, or at least in the bullpen. Andrew Devine, Garrett Crowley. Girton went 4 1/3, 4 hits, 4 runs, 3 of them earned, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. Tabor Fast, 1 1/3. Ethan Coombs went 2, and then your final 3 guys had to, like, the 3 of them combined for 1 1/3. Bridges went 1/3, Devine went 2/3, Crowley went 1/3. So that game kind of got away from you there right at the very end. And then Saturday, the first game, you win 8-5. You roll back out with Molina, who gets to 3-2 on the season. You start the scoring off with the Harrelson, what could have been a inside the park home run, but it was a triple error. Washburn had a sacrifice fly. Zach Vuletic hit a 2-run home run. And then the 5th inning, Bazell knocked in a run to take a 5-0 lead. The 6th inning, Harrelson had an RBI on a fielder's choice. Bazell doubled and scored 2 runs there to get you to 8-1. And then you kind of held on a little bit as they came back. They scored 1 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th to get it to 8-5. But Molina went 5 1/3, 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 3 walks and 4 strikeouts. Brandon Beckel came on for 1 2/3, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned. That may have been his first earned run of the season, but it wasn't in Big 12 play, which is okay, I guess.
Yeah.
No walks, 2 strikeouts. Zach Erdman went 1/3, Jace Lopez 2/3, and Ryan Free got the save. He pitched the 9th, 1 hit, 1 strikeout. And then you wrapped up 45 minutes after that with game 3, or you started game 3. You didn't wrap up the series, but a game that was in the tally we talked about a little while ago. North Dakota State scored first. They scored 2 in the 2nd. You didn't respond until the 4th, but you scored 1 in the 4th, 4 in the 5th. So you got up to a 5-2 lead. They responded with 1 of their own in the 6th, and then you scored in the 6th, 7th, and 8th to get to your 8-3 victory. Trenton Parrish got the start on the second game and went 6 full innings. It's the longest you've had a starter go since Mason Molina, like week 2. It feels like it's been a long time since you've seen a 6 next to a pitcher. or at least to start it, because you got Kyle Robinson went 6 innings in that 16-inning game against A&M. Parrish goes 6 innings, picks up the win. It's his second of the year, so he's 2-0, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 1 walk to 5 strikeouts. And then Kyle Robinson came in to give you the last 3 innings, does end up earning a save. No hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. So you love to see that from him. He did the 3 full innings on 33 pitches, so he's averaging 11 pitches per inning, which is work. Like I said, would have hoped to get the win there on Friday, but wasn't to be. Then you traveled on Sunday, Easter, and then took on Stanford. You dropped the first game. You did score first. You scored 4 in the second. You're like, holy crap, we jumped on them. And then you gave up a 3 spot to Stanford in the bottom of the second to get it back. They tied it in the 4th, took the lead in the 5th, added an insurance run in the 6th to get to your result there. Jacob Rogers was your starter, went 2 2/3 innings. Andrew Devine came in for an inning and third. Ethan Coombs, Derek Bridges, Dax Davey, all 4 of those guys went 1 1/3 inning. They combined, the bullpen combined for 3 hits, but 3 runs, and all of them were earned. 3 walks to just 2 strikeouts. You, on the other hand, offensively, Texas Tech struck out 14 times in the first game versus Stanford, which is a huge number. You struck out 6 times their starter, Dugan. There's no crying in baseball. And then to their guy that came in for the save, Bruno, he struck out 5 batters over 2 innings. So he faced 8 batters and struck out 5. Of the 6 outs he recorded, 5 were strikeouts, which is impressive for him, right? Good for him. Bouncing back today, you did again score first. You scored in the top of the first, and then you scored 3 more in the top of the third. So you had a 4-0 lead. Stanford responded, scored 2 of their own in the third. You scored 1 in the 5th, 3 in the 7th, then 3 more in the 9th to get you to the 11-2 results. Offensively, you had a home run from Hudson White. I don't know why I was stuck on his first name. I was trying not to say Harry. I was like, that's not his name. His name's not Harry. He had a 2-run home run in the 9th, which I thought was pretty impressive. Ty Coleman was in the lineup today at DH. He second in the lineup. Went 2 for 4, which was good to see. On the mound, you rolled out Zane Petty as your starter. He went 2 1/3, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned. Ryan Free, Brandon Beckel came in. You love to see him. He went 3 full innings. He ends up getting the win. He's 4-0 on the season. 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts on 35 pitches again, so 12 pitches an inning. And then you turned it over to Kyle Robinson, who went the final 2 full innings, no hits, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts on 22 pitches, so 11 there. Kyle Robinson, if this is the Kyle Robinson you're going to get, maybe you're a little disappointed that he didn't figure into the rotation to start this season. But these last couple of appearances, especially late in games, where he comes in and throws multiple innings and gives up no hits, no runs, obviously, that's great. If this is going to be his role, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, you know what you have in Brandon Beckel, and he's that guy, right? Tonight, he, like I said, went 3 innings, 3 hits, no runs, and 4 Ks. Keith is trying to submit his name, or has submitted his name. I don't know if this is an official, but he's trying to get a little bit of attention on Beckel's performance for the D1 Baseball's top 50 relievers list. He has a .79 ERA over 22 2/3 innings pitched, 31 strikeouts to 7 walks. Opponents are batting a 184 against him. A sub-1 whip, 3-0 on in 11 appearances and 2 saves. Nolan Hester tonight hit his 200th career hit. It was a double. It's fitting for this team that hits so many doubles. So splitting the midweek with Stanford, I think was fantastic. On the road, because we talked about your home and away splits a little while ago. This is your first true road win of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was against a quality opponent, number 8 Stanford. So you did that at their place.
Yeah,
You are
definitely
on
a
the
quality
road.
opponent.
Yeah, for sure. You're on the road this weekend against Oklahoma, not the same quality of opponent. Let me put it this way. They are 67th in RPI, which would actually help Texas Tech, as they are 70th in RPI, especially with it being a road game. They are 17. The Sooners are 17-16 on the season, 3-6 in Big 12 play. Somehow doing worse in Big 12 play than Baylor is, but Baylor's just above them at 8. But if the schedule holds, you will play them Friday night at 6:30, Saturday afternoon at 4, Sunday afternoon at 2. They've got, which feels like it's been this way for the past few years, but they've got a guy that is absolutely mashing, and I'm blanking on his name. Just give me 1 second to pull this back up, because they've got a batter that's just ridiculous.
So kind of to jump on what you were saying earlier, it's the thing we've said this whole time. The schedule is very top heavy. So really of the top, the top 3 teams in the Big 12, the only one you have yet to face is Oklahoma State. You've already faced Texas and TCU, so hopefully
you've
Tech
played
can
Oklahoma
take
State.
advantage of this. Have you?
Yeah, they were first, actually.
Crap.
You won that series 2-1.
That's right.
Tanner
Yes,
Treadaway.
because you've kind of had their number for the last. Okay, I remember all the stats now. Okay, it's all coming back to me now.
It's all coming.
So you played
back.
3 of the top 3.
You played all the top.
Yes.
You get Oklahoma next, which they're last, but I think they're better than the last place team, because I think it's very firmly Baylor than Kansas. Oklahoma's probably 6th, but probably a lot like Texas
Baylor's
Tech. They're just a little victim of their schedule so far. But I do believe they've already played Baylor. Actually, now that I say that.
Well, and
but yeah.
Baylor's played 12 Big 12 games, and Oklahoma's only played 9.
They have not had their weekend off yet, like Texas Tech just did. Oklahoma is 11-7 at home this season. Sorry, I'm just a little bit delayed. They lost 3-4, 4-3 to Abilene Christian earlier in the season. They won this series, but lost a game to a school called Rider. They had a game against UT Arlington canceled. They played quite a few games against California. They lost 9-12 in Frisco to Ohio State. They swept in a 2-game series UNLV. They beat the brakes off of Houston and won a 3-game series, scoring 28 runs in 3 games. They lost to Wichita State. They won the series versus TCU, which is raised eyebrows there. They lost a close game to Dallas Baptist. They got swept by Kansas State. They lost a 23-11 game to Stanford, and then they split a 4-game series. They won the middle 2-0, 6-5, and then lost 16-5. They beat Oral Roberts, and then they just lost the series to Baylor. That's what it was in Waco. They lost the first game 10-6. They won game 2 6-3, and then lost the last game 5-3. Their most recent game was tonight versus Wichita State, and they beat them 8-1. So in terms of like looking ahead, I don't know why I clicked off of that page real quick, but like I said, Tanner Treadaway, I think, is their offensive leader. And now their website doesn't want to work for me. He's batting. He's got a above 300. Sorry, this is fantastic. But he's above 300 in terms of pitching, though. Sorry, this is where I meant to start. Game 1, you should see a guy in the name of. Oh my gosh, their website, like, it'll load and then reload. Braxton Duthit. I'm butchering that name. For the Sooners, at least in this last game, he went 4 full innings, gave up 1 hit, no runs, 5 walks to 4 strikeouts. But on the season, he's a graduate, 5'11", 200, right-handed guy. Previously played at Lamar. Why are they not showing his stats? It doesn't matter. I'm so tired of their website. That's what you're gonna get. Duthit. But like teams that you faced Oklahoma previously, if you're not careful, they're gonna reach up and smack you around a little bit. They've got a pretty good offensive ball club. But I can't stand their website right now. So I'm sorry. That's what I got for you for the Sooners.
You think are you predicting a series win or a sweep? What are you thinking?
I am hopeful for a series win.
Yes.
But that's
second and third true road wins of the year.
Yeah, and I would love to win
all in the same week.
I'd love to win Saturday, Sunday. Like have them win the first game and get all up in their head about it, and then there's like, no, we're gonna slam that door. One, because it means that you've got a Mason Molina bounce back. He's not been pitching deeper into games, and you need him to go a little bit longer. And then it probably means you figured out something on Sundays, whether it's Trenton Parrish, or you found a combination of guys to roll with. Because Sunday last year was obviously a big hole for you, and your pitching rotation, your starting rotation has been so thin. You've not had a great feel about what your weekend looks like. You've rolled out several different starters early. You've had Brennan Gurton and Mason Molina there for the majority of the season. Mason Molina has been the obviously the stalwart there. He's been there the longest. Gurton came in relief of Kyle Robinson that first game. And then you've had guys like Tabor Fast and Trenton Parrish and all, guys like that figured out how to get some innings. I don't know why I blanked so hard just then.
I was just going to say pitch to help you
out. Saturday, you'll probably see a guy in the name of James Hitt. He's 2-0 in the season. Last appearance versus Baylor went 5 2/3, gave up 2 hits, just 2 hits, 1 run. It was earned, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. And then if the website wants to cooperate, I can give you a Sunday, or at least who they went with last. It knew I was trying to do something on the fly. So next week, midweek, you are hosting Grand Canyon. This would be the return trip from last year's series. At least if you're looking at their RPI, they're not the same. They're not the same kind of opponent as you've previously seen them. They are at 126 in the RPI. They're 18-13 so far on the season and 9-6 in their own conference play. You'll play them Tuesday at 6:30 and Wednesday at 2 p.m. All these games, even going back to the Oklahoma games, will be on ESPN Plus. So you may have missed out the games today and yesterday versus Stanford because of the Pac-12 nonsense. But get back on your old ESPN rotation there. And then following that next weekend's games surrounding the football spring game, you've got a series versus Baylor. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They are 12-20, at least as of today, 4-8 in Big 12 play, and 209 in RPI. So we talked about them being ahead of Oklahoma in the standings. Oklahoma, at least according to RPI, 67. Baylor's 209, and they probably got a pretty big bump after winning the series against Oklahoma. That number is obviously going to change a lot in the 2 weeks before you play them. But after that, you've got your one of the two games you had scheduled. You're going to be making the trip to Abilene for the first now of the two games versus Abilene Christian. They're 26th in RPI, and then you'll be back back on the road that weekend to take on Kansas State, who is 90th in RPI, at least as of today. I wonder if the Oklahoma website would work for me now, but I'm now so far past it, I'm closing it. So
it's not even worth it. It's not worth it, dude. It's not worth it.
Man. So, in terms of like where you're headed this season, like you needed to split this series with Stanford to get you going the right direction, and then you've got opportunities here to improve on your RPI. But I think, unfortunately, at this point, I think I've seen reliable people say that there's not much you can do to get back into a hosting conversation, even for a regional bid.
Yeah.
Which is unusual that you're considered out of it at this point in the season, a little more than halfway, 3/5. You played 30 of 50.
Yeah, and having only played 3 conference series.
But I think because you had the sweep against Texas, and you've had these strange non-conference blips too, that the damage has been done. Now you can obviously play yourself into an appearance, right? Like I don't think, like I think you're good enough to obviously play in a regional, and if you figure out your rotation, you can win a regional. You saw this. You got matched up with a really good Notre Dame team last year, who ended up making it to Omaha. They won the regional. They won the super regional on the road at number 1 Tennessee. But I think like this team is it's not out of the question that they can get to a regional win. And then just go from there. But you've got opportunities again against not the strongest of the Big 12 teams. Let's put it that way. But you still need to play your better games, your best. I don't think it takes the best games, but you need to be playing a lot better to be putting yourself into a position to win these and to be moving back up the conference standings. So with that, Michael, let's go to round ball. Let's talk about basketball.
Okay, let's basketball.
Here comes Stevenson. Spins. Sensation Smith.
Pass over the top of Foreman, get a count stripped by Owens. Moretti on the run, bounce pass. Here's Culver.
Evans.
Yes! Game over.
Mooney with a crossover and the lob to Owens.
Now the shot clock is at 3. Mooney spins, fires. Oh, he got it to go. Edwards with a 3. Good! What a shot, Kyler Edwards. Already doubled into Tariq. Who puts it down? Already. Odiasi crowbars it in. Shot clock down to 5. Got the screen. There's a 3. Good!
Culver got the separation.
Big shot. Stepping up big time. Dagger.
Culver with the dish.
Odiasi. And one. He can tie it at the line.
That's it. There's a new member of the Final Four Club, and they hail from Lubbock, Texas.
All right. basketball. Sorry, the biggest thing I think we're looking at right now is staff names, right? Coming back from the announcement last week that Grant McCasland is the next head basketball coach at Texas Tech. We had a couple guys we had thrown out or we'd heard of there being some contact. But essentially since then, nothing. We haven't heard anything. We're talking about Ben McCollum and John Jacobs. Ben McCollum is the head coach at Northwest Missouri State, and John is the associate head coach at Baylor. But since then, we have heard of 2 official hires. The number of consecutive vowels in this man's name leads me to believe it's pronounced Breuer.
Oh my gosh, I was gonna go Breyer
or Breyer
or Brower. I could go with Brower.
Matt Brower, Braeuer, and then Achoki Moikobu. Both of these guys were with McCasland at North Texas. These are the guys I think that were rumored to be in contact with recruits and on behalf of Texas Tech, or that were at least in the facility for the announcement last week. But they've been officially released, or their names have been released as official hires at this point. And then tonight actually, strength and conditioning coach Andrew Wright has been announced. He was again with McCasland at UNT for 4 years, and now will be at Texas Tech. They released a picture of him in tech gear, in a weight room. So he's been here a few days at least.
Yeah,
to be pictured.
definitely.
And then something else. I'm not like scooping a paywall here because this wasn't staff that reported it, but the rumors are, and this is not like outlandish, and it could just be like because it's been talked about so widely, somebody just heard it again and replied it, but shared it on a board. But that supposedly, in some kind of official capacity, Barrett Peary has been contacted and has been not interviewed, but questioned about his interest in a position with the Texas Tech staff.
As long as that is McCasland's decision.
Yep, that's
I'm
true.
fine
That
with it.
wasn't clarified in the post. It was just
Right.
like Barrett Peary has been contacted about a possible position on McCasland's staff.
Yeah, I think initially there was a lot of wishful thinking on the message boards of, well, Peary's going to be part of the deal. And I'm like, what head coach would agree to that? That's crap. If that was actually part of the deal, that's a crap deal. But 2, that's just not going to happen. I don't think anyone's going to put strings attached to McCasland to say, well, hey, but you've got to bring this guy in, whether you really know him that well or not, because some of the donors like him and the fans like him because he was pretty good in Lubbock the 1 year he was here, we think. But I do like Peary quite a bit. I'm not saying I wouldn't want him here, and he was not here during all whatever the heck happened this last year. But I think it's best to completely clean house like they're doing and just to continue going down a completely new path. And that is no offense to Peary.
Yeah, and actually,
start over.
My memory was mistaken. It says, per an inside source, Grant McCasland has reached out to Barrett Peary to talk about potential positions on his staff and to gauge his interest in returning to Lubbock. He was also told, the same person was also told that Peary has interest in coming back. But whether that is the right position, if the offer's right, I don't know. I don't know what all. I mean, whatever. I liked Peary, and I was super excited about the potential of Texas Tech incorporating some of his style from Portland State, whether it was defensively or offensively or all the above, and we got none of it.
Well, one thing we did get was his, at least on social media, and I think it was genuine too, just his unabashed commitment to Lubbock, like immediately. So that was excellent. You know, that was really great to see. So I think a lot of people remember that, and that may be driving it just as much as anything else. But he was, you know, very present online, very positive about the town. And that goes a long way out here. It goes a long way in a lot of places, but it definitely does out here.
It's turned into a meme, right? But like that answer that Matt Wells gave at his radio show, right? Like that's been the meme, the joke running now for several years. Like, what's your favorite thing about Lubbock? And as a head coach who had been here for several years, he said that his son plays baseball here. Well, yeah, he's in Little League, man. He's going to play wherever you live.
Speaking of, he's still here, or at least his kids are. I mean, he was at I have a confirmed sighting. He was at a Good Friday Easter service here in Lubbock.
And that wasn't who was it that was here for so long? It was his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Yost.
I have a shirt with his face on. I couldn't really remember his name. The hair raid. Still weird. I'm not wearing it today because I was outside painting today, but
yeah, you don't want to get that. You don't want to get that shirt.
I don't want to mess that shirt up, man. It's too good. But other names, I think we were like the other aspect of like what else we were looking forward to since the McCasland announcement has been roster updates. Mm-hmm. His all-conference player of the year, Tyler Perry, released on the 8th, a list of 12 finalists. But Texas Tech was on the list. So that's a positive. He listed Baylor, Florida, Texas Tech. This is in order. Texas Tech, Arkansas, in order of how he listed it, not as in Baylor's my first choice in Florida. It's just this is the order he gave. Baylor, Florida, Texas Tech, Arkansas, Louisville, Tennessee, Wake Forest, Oklahoma, Creighton, Minnesota, Stanford, and Oklahoma State. Obviously, some of those schools are not like the others. Like on that list, and then they were
like Stanford, obviously.
I mean, like 10 of those 12 teams, like that would be a good school to go to for basketball. Like I understand that. And then there are a couple of that doesn't jive with the rest of your list there, man.
Maybe Stanford's promising him some spots on the CW to promote his brand.
Or Minnesota, Wake Forest. Yeah. I guess there are 9.
Golden Gopher basketball. Big time.
I know Baylor is looking for a guard after losing LJ Cryer, and I would have loved to have been in that sweepstakes, and it happened really quickly. I think he's going to Houston, I believe, and Samson, and that. Oh my gosh, he's just reloading. It seems like. So it would make a lot of sense there, but like Florida, Arkansas, Louisville, Tennessee, Oklahoma is, I think, on the tail end of that list. Creighton was pretty good. Oklahoma State, but still, like those aren't bad options to fall into from conference player of the year. But it would, you'd love to reconnect him with his old head coach. We mentioned Hofstra guard Aaron Estrada. He listed a Final Four that did not include Texas Tech, so you could go ahead and mark him off your list there. Texas Tech guys in the portal that you are looking to hear from. Elijah Fisher hasn't made anything official. Robert Jennings very recently said he is coming back to Texas Tech. His announcement was kind of funny. Like, sources indicate that RJ Get Buckets is coming back to Texas Tech. It was like sources, and it was like an arrow pointing down to a video of him in a Tech jersey, which is awesome. I think Jennings was a good piece that you would definitely want to develop and can have a guy like him on the team. Amac, we said goodbye. He committed, made it official, going to Cal. KJ Allen reported finalists, and this is from like a source that knew him from his AAU team. So like take that with a grain of salt or whatever you want to say. But does not include Texas Tech, but it is Nevada, Portland State, San Francisco, UC Riverside, and Louisiana Tech. And then finally, the other update that we have, Davion Harmon has entered his name into the NBA draft proceedings, but will not retain his college eligibility, so he will not be coming back. Whereas Tyler Perry, did also enter or start the proceedings or whatever for the NBA draft, but did retain his eligibility. Harmon did not.
So that's
Read
still
into that what you want to.
right. That's still based upon hiring or not hiring an agent. Is that still how that's kind of determined, or is that just part of the piece
I
of
couldn't
retaining
tell.
your eligibility? Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean,
It's
I
getting
could
even
look
more
it up real quick.
complicated, man.
But I mean, there are guard options on this team and elsewhere. Like Harmon was good. He had flashes, and I don't want to hold like him not meeting my expectations against him, especially considering how the season actually played out. But if he wants to go play professionally, good luck, man.
Yeah, well, and
Under like 18 different head coaches, he's had not the easiest career to deal with, like head coaching turnover. He's probably like, I have no desire to do this again.
yeah,
So,
and he
which is fine.
absolutely, I think he single-handedly won Tech at least 3 games this year, maybe 4.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd have to go back and factor that all up. But man, there were so many games where he was the only offense Tech had.
especially late in the games. Like it turned into give the ball to Harmon and let him cook, and
Yeah.
he excelled at that in a lot of those opportunities. But other than that, though, like it's just been rumors and posts on message boards. You get the 3 coaches announcement, the two assistant coaches and a strength and conditioning coach. I think you've got at least one more official assistant coach, probably the like associate head coach title, to fill out, whether it's McCollum, Jacobs, or Peary. I assume those are your 3 top candidates, or at least the ones that have been reported on, and waiting to hear back on who wants what, because McCollum's been a head coach at that school he's at for quite a while, and it kind of reminds me a lot like the career trajectory of like Steve Green at South Plains, which like you kind of feel bad for him, right? Like he had been there for
Yeah.
20 something years and finally broke down. He's like, okay, fine, I'll move up, and he's with a program for 1 year, and then just like that coaching staff gets demolished. It's like, well, F.
Yeah, I was wondering, what does he do now? I don't. I
Do
haven't
you try to
even-
go back to South Plains?
Yeah, I haven't looked at South Plains as who they hired since then, or how they did, or anything like that. I wonder if he would be welcomed back in some sort of analyst role or something, get his foot in the door. Man, I don't know. That's an interesting dynamic. And yeah, you do kind of finally get lured away and then just get thrown into a meat grinder.
They finished their season. They lost in the Region 5 tournament. They lost to Ranger. Is Billy Clyde Gillespie still at Ranger?
I think so.
Like, talk about a name you haven't heard of in a while. BCG, Billy Clyde Gillespie. Is he still at... Hold on. He was at Tarleton State at 2020.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Yeah, he may not be a Ranger anymore.
But he was there for a while, right? He was at Ranger.
Mhm.
Like, it was right after he left Tech. It felt like he kind of landed there.
Yeah, I don't know if it was right after. I felt like there was a gap. But
Because like on his sports reference page, it's got Texas Tech. He was there 2011 to 2012, and
Yeah.
the next thing on that list is Tarleton State, 2020. So there's an 8-year gap there. I'm sure he
Well,
was coaching some of those years.
Ranger
he-
was
he-
2015 to 2020.
All right. So no, he's been at Charleston State the past 3 seasons. Got them turning the right direction. First year went 10-10, then 14-17, then last year went 17-17. Winning more games every year. All right, that's a tangent on Billy Clyde Gillespie that I didn't think we were going to take tonight. You wanna move on to football real quick? Again,
Yeah, there's
not even
really
just
not
play the
much.
music. Just get to it. We've already kind of mentioned it. Spring practice is ongoing. If you're not following the Twitter accounts, they are releasing like a drill of the day video, which has been really interesting and fun to watch. There was a video. I don't even call it like a highlight or like a focus on Taj Brooks, but it said here for the Taj runs or whatever it was, stay for the Taj dance, and then Brooks retweeted it and said, y'all know I always, and he had like the watch emoji, but this year I'm going to be dancing. So his touchdown celebrations may be a little more, but the video that the official football account came out, it looked like he was having a lot of fun with that dance.
So we're gonna go with like the Taj Tango, or the
Ooh, I like that.
what do we got here? What are the other options? The Brooks Bossa Nova. Is it even a dance? I just remember that was like a
Yeah, it's a dance.
a default keyboard song on my first keyboard. You just play the Bossa Nova and it was like ding 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 ding. It was a really ripping keyboard song from the early 90s. I'm talking musical keyboard people. Someone's out there like, oh, one of them typing keyboards that don't make no sense.
Sorry, I was looking for this tweet and I misspelled Taj Brooks' name. I was like, it's not coming. Okay, so the tweet from Texas Tech football, excuse me. Come for the Taj score, stay for the Taj celebration. And then he retweeted it. Y'all know how I got the watch. We end zone dancing this year. So
Let's do
go
it.
check out his account. Spring game we talked about is going to be next weekend, the 22nd, 12 p.m. will be on ESPN Plus, but those local can hit up Lowry Field. I'm sure, but I haven't been in the Discord. I'm sure there will be some pregame festivities for the Lubbock Picadors.
I would imagine, and
if
the
not,
baseball game the same day. Yeah,
we should get something in the works there.
something should be generated.
I'm looking at you, Root.
Agree. But it's 12 p.m. That's kind of early. Gotta do
You
some
get brunch, the breakfast
brunch.
burritos, and your libation. Is it libation with a B or the V? Libation.
I think it's a
Libation?
B.
Libation
sure
of
it's a B.
choice. Your morning pick me up. You had a huge junior day weekend, but you had a bunch of guys in town, including some big skill position players. Like you had your quarterback target, you had a running back target, and obviously you got Micah Hudson, the 5-star receiver that you're in the running for, and a finalist for. They were all here. So seemingly very positive reactions that we're seeing coming out of that, which I'm not surprised with the recruiting staff and McGuire and all that going on. But no new commits since last week. We talked about the tight end out of South Oak Cliff. And then news broke today about our man Cliff Kingsbury getting back into the college game, reuniting, and it feels so good with Riley.
Yeah, and the Trojans. Back
And
to
the Trojans.
USC. He's back for round 2.
Was there ever truly a round 1?
Absolutely. There's some footage of him in an office.
Yeah, he was also
With
gone.
like
I don't think he held a single practice there.
He had a Trojan shirt on.
Well, you can Photoshop those pretty easily.
He had a layover in LA on his way to
Tucson.
Arizona. Yeah, I was blanking. I was like, is it Phoenix? Crap. I was trying to. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's going to be an offensive analyst and coaching quarterbacks.
While still getting paid by the Cardinals. Beautiful.
He's going to be making bank.
What a great move by our guy. I was kind of hopeful just for mental health that he would take this season off, but you really kind of can't do that in that profession. You got to.
What are you talking about? He took like a month off to Thailand.
Yeah, but not the season.
Well, no, but if you take a season off, like when the next coaching carousel comes up, like your name's not going to be mentioned. Like
that's right.
You were saying you can't afford to take off, and if you still want to coach, you can't take that much time off.
No, I think this is about best case scenario to where he's not. Okay, I'm back into, being a head coach somewhere or even an offensive coordinator. He just gets to show up and hang out with Lincoln in L.A.
That offense is going to be
quarterbacks.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's a pretty sweet gig. USC, I mean, I've had so many people tell me today, like, man, USC is just such a team that's so easy to hate. And I get it. But I'm going to hate them less this year.
But for a guy like for what we know of Kingsbury, that is an X's and O guy, and just loves to draw shit up and like work with quarterbacks, like this couldn't have been a better fit. But he was never going to be in a position to be an offensive analyst or a quarterbacks coach. After what he did at Houston, like being a failed or at least fired NFL head coach that no longer really needs money, like you can take a step back and like at least entitle and be like, yeah, I can be a position coach. I can be a quarterback coach in college again, and be just fine. Make $200,000 and not really ever need it.
Yeah, and I'm sure Riley was like, "Don't worry, you don't have to recruit. You're fine."
No, like here,
the number one
recruit
guys
the while they're
state.
on campus. You don't have to travel, but like while they're here, like, wow, we want them to meet you, obviously. But
yeah, just come in and say hello. And
well, here's the thing: we'll bring them by your office. You'll be here for sure. We'll just bring them by your office.
Yeah, because you get here at 3:30 in the morning. So I mean,
yeah, he's still
damn sure you'll be here.
All right. Yeah, I think it's great news. I don't hate the guy. Like it was time for him to be fired from Texas Tech a long time ago, and it's been long enough. Like he left left. He was fired. But he didn't burn bridges and go scorched earth, and was successful everywhere else he's been. Which kind of made Texas Tech look a little weird, but I think everybody understood and saw that college head coach, at least at that time, was not a fit. But having said all that, I do have a little more interest in watching USC as at least their offense.
Yeah, well, and I kind of had some interest last year already, just because I really enjoy Sooner Tears online.
They're so good.
And just the constant, we don't have Riley anymore. We're going to be so much better. Like, you guys have no idea. You've never gone through this. You've had an entire generation of people who have never gone through a forced coaching change that wasn't thought of, 5+ years in advance.
Or a losing season.
Or a losing season. Oh. Screw them. They suck.
Okay, so football adjacent. Let's get to questions. And I say questions. I didn't really have anywhere else to put it, but it's a question for you, Michael. There's been some smoke and steam building for Big 12 expansion again, and it's going back towards legitimate big-time options, not like, oh, we're going to add Boise State or San Diego State. Like, very recently, there's been some momentum and significant momentum of getting Colorado back to the Big 12 and possibly even Arizona with them. Thoughts?
I'm in. I'm instantly in. And not that I really love Arizona or Colorado that much, but they are Power 5 schools. They put money into their programs. They care about sports, even though, Colorado likes to pretend they don't. I think that's just the right move to continue to expand and make sensible decisions while doing it. Colorado is not super far away from everything, and I guess I'm sure people in Florida would disagree, or West Virginia might go, "Good Lord." But for us, it's like, most people I know drive to Colorado at some point during the year, so that's not crazy. They're going to go through there on the way to Wyoming. We have a group of friends in the Discord destined to go to that Wyoming game for this year's season opener. So there's going to be people drive to Boulder or fly to Denver or whatever they got to do.
Yeah, I think there are plans for like a Friday activity in Colorado before they drive up for the game on Saturday to Wyoming.
Yeah. So I'm all about it. I like it. I have not followed Colorado sports anything. I don't think they've been very good at anything in the last several years, and I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, and that's fine.
They had a spike in football a couple years ago. They were pretty good.
Yeah, and then I think they lost their coach. Correctly.
Yeah, because it was the big time coach that went to Michigan State.
Yeah,
Mel Tucker.
I was about to say Kuiper, so you're right. Todd. So they have
Mel Tucker. Yeah, so he was at Colorado before he went to Michigan State, and he had them going pretty good.
Being closer to the Prime show is interesting.
So
being tangentially involved with that is a perk. I know he won't be there forever, but that's a very intriguing concept.
Speaking of, there was a tweet I saw that was kind of entertaining. I don't know what the timeline would look like, and even if these guys would still be coaching their spots. But they're like, think about a Dion or a Prime-led Colorado football team playing Gus Malzahn and the Bounce House, and just like the clash of those personalities and programs and what that might look like, and it'd be a conference, like a meaningful conference game. Obviously, they could schedule and play non-conference long before they're ever conference opponents. What I find interesting. And it doesn't work yet with the numbers that we would have if we just added these two. But towards like a 16-team, 4-team pod system, Texas Tech, BYU, Colorado, and Arizona would be your Western pod. Sign me up, brother.
Yeah,
I would love that those protected. In football, those protected scheduling alliances with those other three programs injected in my veins, man.
I like this twofold, for the reasons I mentioned earlier, and because it will put the Pac-12 in a bind. I don't know why.
I'll screw them.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if the University of Utah gets left out, man, and they get relegated back to the Mountain West.
They have been so
Please
bad.
let that happen, because Washington, Oregon are biding their time until everything works out for them to realign to the Big Ten. Great. That's a foregone conclusion. The remnants of the Pac-12 need to be finding a spot in the Big 12. And it's always felt like it was going to be the four corner schools, although you weren't getting New Mexico because nobody wants New Mexico. But you were going to get Arizona State, and Colorado, possibly Utah was in that discussion. But if the Utah, especially with their fans and how they've interacted since they've been in big boy football for all of 2 years, if they get relegated back to the Mountain West, man, I'll drink those Ute tears.
It'd make it all worth it.
Would. So yeah, I think we're both on the same page then. We'd be big fans of bringing in Colorado or Arizona. I would think if you did that, you'd probably want to pair out the expansion. Wait, hold on. If you added those two, once Texas and Oklahoma gone, you're then up to 14, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Then I would think you would want to grab two more Eastern schools, like a Louisville Miami or, something like that. Like where you're going out east, right? So you get like Cincinnati, West Virginia, Louisville,
Georgia.
UCF, Georgia, yeah, Alabama and
Yeah.
Auburn while we're at it.
Maybe
Florida
Florida State, though. Florida State's possible.
Notre
No.
Dame. I mean, they're not aligned with any
Yeah,
any
not a big deal.
conference. So maybe not
USF.
maybe not two Eastern schools, but like one Eastern and like more Northern or more Central school. And then you can kind of like geographically, because I don't know why, like in my mind, geographics have to come in and play a fit here. But then, like geographically, you can like very clearly and mark out like you've got 4 pods, and they make sense, and you're not having a lot of cross country trips every year that are just logistical nightmares. Anyways, you want to wrap this up with what we learned? We've been going an hour and a half.
Yeah. What'd you learn?
Well, hold on, man. We're not there yet.
Oh, sorry.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
All right. Going yard. I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I was outside. I was painting my shed. I'm building a shed again. We did this a couple years ago, 3 years ago. COVID project. I built a shed. We moved, obviously, recently. Well, it's almost been a year now, 9 months. And it was always going to be a spring project. And then obviously with the baby comes like all this time off at home. This is a great time to do it. I had the concrete poured for the foundation of the shed, and then an extension on the patio. I was like, oh, we're doing this now. And then I'm looking at the calendar. It's like, I've got like 2.5 weeks left before I go back to work. I need to wrap this up. Having said all that, I put down grass seed in the fall, basically to hold my dirt in place and not like have it be just lost to the wind. I have since nuked it off, put down the old Roundup, which I know is super healthy for everybody involved, to get to Bermuda. And I never wanted Bermuda, but then the fight against it has worn me down, and I'm going to be growing Bermuda now, and hopefully going to keep it kind of short. But I needed to get the shed to a spot where it could withstand water, which it wasn't in a spot where it could withstand water when we got that storm on Sunday, but it has survived well enough that we should be good. Going yard update. I'm planting grass seed this weekend.
Hey, before you get too far,
That's all I had.
I have a Roundup update.
It's not like an everyday thing, so I'm not going to get cancer from it, but go on.
No. Did you ever see that? There was this guy, Patrick Moore. He was a lobbyist for Monsanto who claimed that Roundup is safe to drink. And he claimed it.
I doubt that's so very hard.
Oh, yeah. Disclaimer. And he claimed that during an interview, and then someone offered him a glass of it, and he did not partake. But I just wanted to pass along that, according to this guy from 2015, Roundup is supposedly, I don't even want to finish saying it because then someone's going to record me saying it.
Weed killer to drink, says ecologist, before declining a glass.
Yeah. I didn't know if you knew about that little thing that happened. So I've got a going yard update, sort of.
Love to hear it.
My tree got torn to shreds.
Was it from the storm on Sunday?
We had 2 inches, for those of you who don't know, we had 2 inches of hail, not 2-inch hail, but a thick sheet of hail, 2 inches thick.
I had
in our
piles
yards.
like 8-9 inches deep.
Oh yeah, it was like snowdrifts.
Well, just because of the way like it was blowing directly into our backyard, like it was coming in from the north. Our backyard faces north, and it was like directly coming in. I was like, this like our windows got pounded. My AC unit outside, the internal fins got pretty beat up. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, my little tree out front, we were just bragging about it. Like, man, it just really put out this year. It's just been such a good tree. And there's just so much green underneath it when we were done, when the hail came through. So, but okay. So the things, that's really the only going yard I had. I've got a segment called Watching Film.
Okay.
This is the
Let's hear it.
inaugural Watching Film segment. Took the 6-year-old and my lovely wife to see the Mario movie on
I've
Friday.
heard very strongly mixed reviews on this bad boy.
I liked it fine. But it just kind of struck me as odd. So, spoiler alert for people
Still
who
in the
give a shit.
theaters.
I'm just going to spoil a little bit of it. I'm going to spoil Bowser's motivation. He is on his way to destroy Princess Peach's kingdom.
What?
Unless she agrees to marry him. Dude has no game. That's just not how it works, Bow Wow. That's not it. You don't come in guns blazing and be like, well, I'm going to destroy your town and everything you love unless you marry me. Because it's Jack Black doing the voice, too.
Oh,
That was just really odd. That was just really, really an odd thing. It just felt gross. And he had like these love songs he'd written for her. And, you know, it's Jack Black performing songs about Princess Peach, which is funny, but also just really strange. So anyway, the movie was fine. I had that was my strongest opinion on it, was just Bowser just he needs to learn the timeless art of seduction. It's not that. It's not showing up to someone's house with a bulldozer and being like, marry me, my sweet, or I'm going to bulldoze your house.
I don't know if you get notifications. But I just marked that clip. I'm gonna figure out how we're gonna post that video about Bowser needing to learn the timeless act of what did you guys seduction.
Timeless art of seduction.
Timeless art of seduction.
The other thing I wanted to bring up is we went for Easter, instead of cooking this year, we thought, well, we're going to treat ourselves and our mothers to an Easter buffet. And so we went to a local hotel in town, fairly close to Texas Tech. Starts with an O. And we went there for a buffet.
Mm-hmm.
We paid a pretty, it's a pretty high little cost for the buffet because it's kind of a big deal. Whatever. Like, okay, fine. We knew what that cost was. But then on our bill, they added a $53 service charge.
What? For
right?
what?
I have no clue. $53.
Like,
and we're like,
whoa. Explain this bad boy to me.
We didn't sign it, like, but it wasn't the tip. It was clearly not the tip because they taxed it, and so I still had to tip on top of that. And I was like, what?
Did you get any clarification what that was?
We even called him later, and the person my wife spoke to said something like, "Yeah, sometimes we charge that, sometimes we don't." It's like, okay. And they had all this stuff laid out.
Sometimes you refund us because I'm not ever.
Right.
I'm going to refute this charge with my credit card company.
They had all this stuff laid out for the Mother's Day one. They're going to do another buffet brunch type thing on Mother's Day. And, we all were enjoying ourselves so much, and we really liked the food and the selection. And, it's not like the lines were long. Everything was accessible. You just went up and got what you wanted and came, sat back down. It was really great. Nice music, live music. But then, yeah, once you get pegged with a $53 service charge on top of, you're already paying a lot for this because this is a special thing that you're doing. It's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're going to do the Mother's Day thing. I think I'm going to spend exactly like a third of that, and I could get a third of what we spent. I could get like a really nice beef tenderloin at Costco and just roast that bad boy up because everybody's enjoyed it when I've done that. So anyway, service charges. What? If something costs something, tell me, because it ended up being like, it's $10 per person. Why? One of them 6. She ate like one piece of bacon and a macaron. You're making me pay a service charge for that? She ate part of it. She had like 2 bites of a cinnamon roll. Give me a break.
Oh, that's rough.
Anyway.
Did I tell you I smoked a brisket last weekend?
No. What? You holding out on me?
Yeah.
me.
So
How'd it go?
I smoked a brisket last weekend. I thought it went like.
You're your own worst critic. We all are. We both are. You seem
It
like
went-
you're already doubting yourself.
One, it finished a lot faster than I was expecting it to, but it was because I didn't find I couldn't find my butcher paper, so I had to wrap it in foil.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
expedited it a little bit.
Yeah.
What was fine though, because then I was able to hold it in a cooler.
Sure.
And that worked out well. It was still smoking hot when I pulled it out to slice it for dinner, like 8-9 hours later. Which also meant it got that long to rest, which is supposed to be really good for it. I had just remixed up the salt, pepper, garlic seasoning base that I do.
Mm-hmm.
My first bites of just trims as I was like slicing it at dinner, I was like, oh boy, that's salty. I was like, something happened. I put way too much salt in this. Nobody else said anything. Although like to people that I was like comfortable telling, like my wife and then my brother-in-law who also smokes a lot of briskets, like, does that taste salty to you? Like, it tastes fine. I was like, really? Cause like I was hit with like a pucker almost, like it was a me like, oh, it's too much salt. But other than that, man, it was great. It was like the flat was still moist, and like I was able to slice it as an appropriate size where like, it held up under its own weight. It pulled apart just right. Burn ends were great. The point was good. I was frustrated a little bit trimming it because obviously you pay by the pound, right? And in the packaging, I underestimated how much I had to trim off. So I spent a lot more time trimming to get it ready to go in the smoker than I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I had to because there was so much dang exterior fat to get off. I was like, I trimmed off like 3 or 4 pounds of fat, man, which is it's like another $12, $15.
That'll help it cook a little faster too.
Well, that too. And I was able to, I had a small foil pan that I rendered off some of that fat into tallow, which I put into the wrap.
Yes.
So it wasn't like a complete loss, but still, man, I was a little frustrated about it. It was good. This past weekend, we had just a standardized like ham and deviled eggs and stuffing and like more of a traditional Easter dinner. I made mac and cheese. I didn't want it like we were assigned mac and cheese, or it was like one of the dishes that we had. Like, so somebody want to bring it? Like, yeah, sure, I'll do mac and cheese. I didn't want to make boxed mac and cheese, so I found a recipe like this. Looks like it should be pretty good, and it was like bland.
Oh man.
Like there wasn't even like a good cheese flavor. Like it was cheesy. Grayson said it tasted like mud.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh, and that set me up. I was already a little frustrated because like this doesn't taste like it. It was, to me, it was fine. It was just very bland. And then he said that I was already sensitive about it. I was like, you can go hungry then.
Put some hot sauce on it, kid.
He's like, Dad, this tastes bad. It tastes like mud. I was like, you jerk. So I was like, I don't know, like if I didn't put enough salt in. I didn't know if like the roux to start the cheese melting, I didn't dissolve the flour enough. Like the texture was like, it wasn't gritty, but it wasn't as smooth as I wanted it to be. Anyways, that was
I've got one last thing. You talking about salt made me think about this.
It just needed probably some Velveeta and not like shredded cheddar.
Just do the box one and then like put it in a casserole pan and then dump like some, I don't really get the whole breadcrumb thing and all that.
No,
that's never been my thing. I just want a big pot of mac and cheese. The casserole thing is, I'm like, nah, it's fine.
My mom had found a recipe, and I don't know how, but like my Samantha's family had some of it, but the recipe she used called for like crushed Cheez-Its on top.
Okay.
And like then Samantha's family, like, we need to have Karen, which is my mom's name. We need to have Karen's mac and cheese bake. I was like, it's not even her recipe, guys. Like, that's like, my mom's not that kind of person to have recipes. Like, she's got a couple, right? But like they were attributing this to her. I was like, it's something she found online, and like I didn't think it was that good. But they keep like, we need Karen's mac and cheese bake. I was like, I'll make mac and cheese, but I'm not doing that. I'm not.
Yeah.
Because then it was too salty. Like, to get the Cheez-It stuff on top of everything else. The cheese is salty, and then you put salt in the roux, and
I just feel like if you want that, you can add it yourself.
Sure, you just put your own darn cheese.
Whatever the heck, you crumble up cheese toes or whatever, sunflower seeds on there. I don't care, but just good old mac and cheese. That's what it is. Mac and cheese, not like mac and breadcrumbs and panko and wonton wrappers. No, just mac and cheese, man.
Hold on though. Hold on.
What?
Could you imagine a mac and cheese filled like spring roll or like a egg roll, but inside is just the creamy mac and cheese?
I wonder if that egg roll truck in town makes something like that. They might actually.
They probably should.
I swear they had like a brisket mac and cheese egg roll. Maybe I'm making that up.
Just do mac and cheese, man. Don't even mess with the brisket piece of it.
Well, I say all that, but then I have totally been known to add like sausage to mac and cheese.
I've done some bacon
to make it a
before.
meal,
Yeah.
Okay, what I was going to say though, I tried. This is the last thing I had. Speaking of salt, I made some Chiltons this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And did some experimenting with how I make them, because my wife typically likes the pear vodka. So she likes pear vodka and club soda. Not a big fan of Topo Chico?
Yeah.
So she's not a big fan of that. But I'm about out of pear vodka, but I have elderflower liqueur, which I know that she has enjoyed elderflower themed drinks at restaurants, so I experimented with that instead. So I mixed some vodka and some elderflower liqueur and club soda and juice of an entire lime and made her this Chilton, salted the rim of the glass, all that good stuff. And I was like, man, I don't know if this is going to be good. And I gave it to her, and she drank it. She's like, yeah, I really like this. This is really nice. I said, okay, let me try it. And I tried it. And just like I have with every Chilton, I was like, yep, don't like it. It's so weird. This is my first experience ever to make something for someone repeatedly and have zero interest in it. Like, I don't even, nah. I don't like them. Just that weird salty. They don't do it for me, man. Chiltons don't do it for me.
Don't know if I could get myself to make something for somebody else that I don't like.
I just like the act. Like, a cocktail's one thing. I like the act of that. I like that she likes them, and that she's willing to try different ones. But I mean, I think if it was like a pot roast or like an 8-hour endeavor, like if I was making some super labor intensive, like ribs, if I was making ribs or something, but I hated ribs, that would feel different. But like a Chilton, okay, it's 5 minutes because I'm slow and I have everything all over the house instead of all in one place. It should be faster, but I'm glad that she likes it. But it's just, it took me a long time to get to this point where I'm making enough things for people to where I'm finally making a thing where it's like, oh man, I don't like these at all. Here you go.
Just giving away.
Yeah.
That reminded me, and the Karen's mac and cheese didn't, but that's whatever did. So I've told this before. We rotate who decides Sunday dinner for Samantha's family. We all get together for Sunday dinner. And if it's like a birthday that week or a special occasion, like usually that person or the parents will decide. So in the rotation, it's back to us. It's our turn. And I told them a month ago what I wanted to do. You know what we're doing, Michael? Doing a burrito bar.
Oh,
Based on the burrito ingredients that you guys fixed for us when we came home with the baby. I was like, we're doing this and we're introducing everybody like think of it like Chipotle or Qdoba. Like you're gonna make your own burrito. Or
my wife will
bowl
be
even.
thrilled.
But yeah, like we signed it like we're gonna make the meat. We're gonna like if nobody wants to get the big burrito tortillas, fine, we'll get that. We got the beans. Somebody else can do the rice. But it needs to be cilantro lime. It needs to be more rice than cilantro lime. Samantha's father likes to have a little bit of rice with his cilantro lime. Or any of the other inverted. But yeah, like cheese, tomato, like the things that you would then fill out a burrito with. We need those too. But like that's what's going to be for dinner on Sunday. Is going to be the McDonald family.
Yeah.
Shredded beef burritos.
She'll be thrilled to know that she inspired a burrito bar.
And I'm gonna have to go back into our text message between you and I and get the recipe back up, so I can then make this or attempt to make it because this is gonna be my first attempt. But
yeah, let me know if you have more questions. I mean, not that I'll be able to answer them, but I will get answers for you.
Well, I was totally shocked that the beans were straight from a can, and you said that like she sometimes will add some stuff to it, but like
she didn't add anything because I confirmed because I know sometimes she will. She's like, no, she's like she felt really embarrassed and self-conscious about the beans and rice. And I was like, actually, I think that's better because then they know they can just get that and make that if they want this again. But
yeah, it definitely because like I've had pinto beans before, and Samantha's family kind of gravitates more towards like ranch style beans. Even in Mexican food is like no. But the fact that these are canned and pretty dang good out of the can, I was like, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
the
obviously
rice
you try them
package.
Yeah, you try them and maybe if you're like, okay, this needs a little something. But yeah, she didn't do anything to that, and then she did the Zatarain's chili lime or whatever it is, cilantro lime rice.
Cilantro lime rice, and then the green chili and green enchilada sauce on the roast, right?
Yeah.
The roast. Yeah.
Yes. I'm pretty sure I think I put in there what she got. I can't remember if it was a chuck roast or what, but I think it was.
The instructions are a little vague, so I may have to get you to confirm some things because she said to cube it and then cook it until it shreds. Well, how long is that?
I know.
Mrs.
I remember
McDonald.
when she said that to me that day. I was like, okay, I might need to narrow that down for you.
Are we talking about like 4 hours? Are we talking about like 2?
Well, and also, is the crock pot on high? I don't remember if she said that or not.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the menu for this weekend's Sunday dinner with Samantha's family, inspired by a meal you guys made for us shortly after we came home with our new baby, who is doing fantastic, by the way. She's still
She 2 months yet?
No. She goes for a 2-month appointment in 2 weeks. So she's been 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
6.5 weeks. I don't know. It's getting close. She's had some reflux issues, but she's on like a daily Pepcid thing, which is crazy that a newborn needs Pepcid.
Interesting.
But other than that, she's still super chill. Only cries when she needs something very fixable. Food, clean diaper, sleep.
Seems very agreeable for the most part.
She's been letting us like she'll eat. I think she just ate a little while ago, and then she'll usually sleep from now until like 6 or 7. It's like we get a decent night's sleep these days.
That's really impressive, especially this early.
I still will like if I sit still long enough in the afternoon, I will pass out. But it happened on Sunday. We came home from church, and Samantha's brother and her nephews were in town because they came in. We had our baby's blessing, which is like a christening almost. Like it's not a baptism, but it's a special prayer for newborns in our church or young infants. and it's a big family event. We had that happen. Her brother came in from Dallas. So they were all here. They were about to pack up and head back home right after church. We went home to see them. And just because it was like Samantha and her brother talking like they were just conversing, I was just kind of sitting there and just kind of relaxed. I leaned back a little bit, put my head back on the couch, and jerked awake and like, oh, my neck. Oh. I was like, oh, I had been asleep for an hour. Cool. In the middle of like the living room with 6 kids running around and 8 adults.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, that happened. I was just gone for an hour in the middle of everything.
You've reached that point, man.
It happens, man. This little girl, love her to death, but like my sleep is just whacked. Even having just said like I can sleep a lot longer. There's still like times like you wake up for half a second in the middle of the night, like, oh, what was that noise? Yeah. Because she's sleeping in our room with us. Anyways, that'll do it, I think. The 23 Personal Podcast. Lots of baseball ahead. Hopefully you got some ground to make up. You've got the opportunity with the schedule to play yourself into a better position. Let's put it that way. Basketball staff announcements should be rounding out pretty soon. New roster updates, football spring game, all that and more. For Michael, I'm Spencer. We'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at Punt Suck, and Michael at